Everybody, of course, is talking about Trump.
Yeah.
And you and I have covered, and Michael too, so much going on with these big events. There was a liberal commentator who actually made the comment that this is basically going to be like OJ Part 2 on Tuesday. He's flying on Monday, and then Tuesday, the arraignment. What are your thoughts about sort of just what a zoo it's going to be from a media perspective?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's been a very sad week. I mean, we started off with Nashville reeling from the shooting, and now we have this this weaponization of the justice system, and there's even been some bipartisan agreement on this that this is really something that is not only is it unprecedented, but it's history being made for all of the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
right?
and you know it's bad when even the Democrats are saying this is a stretch.
Right. Well, because I think they're going to see that they don't want the blowback on them, because this is really part of a 7-year-long, the continuation of a 7-year-long effort to try to get this.
And it's been a persecution, not a prosecution.
Exactly. So when it comes to the media circus, that's one of the things that I've been really interested to see what is this going to look like, and has there been a negotiation between the Trump team and the Secret Service and the NYPD and the DA's office as to what we will see? Will we see? We know we're not going to see Donald Trump in handcuffs. I'm sure there'll be lots of deep fakes out there on the, on social media about that. We know that's not going to happen. But will we see any portion of this? If it were me, I would strongly, encourage the Trump folks to negotiate a covered arrival, something in a loading dock where there are no cameras, collect people's cell phones, and make sure that this is not an effort any more than it already has been.
Although I disagree. The average person, yes, but it is Donald Trump. As we've talked about it, he has turned this sort of on its heels.
Well, but I think that there's a risk, because I do think that that's what they want. I think that the left wants the drama and they want the spectacle. Remember, the January 6th committee hearings were produced by the president of the former president of ABC News. This is about the mugshot. This is about the perp walk or the pictures.
And well, that's an interesting point, Tom, but I think that regardless of what the Trump team may or may not want, there is still security measures that have to take place. So I think you're going to have it. I personally think you'll have a covered arrival and departure.
Right.
However, here's a good question. What do you think about this? What will the judge ultimately do with respect to still photography and video photography within the courtroom? Because ultimately, that's the judge's call.
And the mugshot, too, is going to be...
Well, the mugshot will be leaked, in my opinion, no matter what.
That's going to be leaked.
How long do you give it? 1 minute or 2 minutes until that comes out?
Well, look, I think that the more that it looks like it has been concocted to humiliate Donald Trump, because we know at this point, from what we understand, the legal case is not very strong, but this is really about humiliating Donald Trump. The more that it looks like that, I think that the Democrats really bear a very significant risk of there being blowback against the entire party, because they are going to look like they're supporting all of this.
And already we're seeing it in the polls. I mean,
there's no question.
We were just talking about it, Michael, too. I mean, already he's raked in anywhere from $4 to $5 million since the word of the indictment came out. I mean, that's stunning.
And his fundraising, we had heard from sources that his fundraising had actually kind of trailed off in recent months, and they weren't doing well with fundraising. So this has breathed some life into at least his campaign.
Looking at a bigger picture, Tom, you've been following this stuff for a long time. Have we now turned a corner with respect to our political system that now Republicans will be looking to go after, the next opponent, whether it's Biden, which actually may be justifiable considering all the things coming out of Hunter's laptop and China and all that. But putting that aside for a second, is this now the new norm for politics in the United States, almost like the banana republics of the world, that we go after legally, criminally, our opponents?
It can't be. And that's the challenge. Somebody here has to take the high ground. And I understand that, look, if there is a credible pay-to-play accusation against Joe Biden, if I were Joe Biden right now, I would be shaking, because that now there is going to be an increased intensity in looking at Ukraine and looking at China and those relationships there. But we have a republic to defend, and we have a way of life to defend, and we can't allow the foundations of our democracy to crack because of this perversion of justice that we're seeing so far.
Well, and a lot of people say that, but to Michael's point, isn't it sort of now opened the floodgates and opened the standard? I mean,
But that's
we've
part of
seen
our responsibility.
we've seen sadly sort of impeachment sort of
But if
be
you
sort
don't
of lowered.
fight back, then they'll just continue
But you
to
fight
do it.
back in other ways, and I've talked to a number of GOP lawmakers, and I said, look, they're gonna try to suck the oxygen out of the room for the next year. It's going to be all Trump all the time, and that's exactly what the left wing wants. But Republicans in Congress, they passed an energy bill this week. Nobody's talking about it. They passed a Parents' Bill of Rights. Nobody's talking about it. You can't allow this to get in the way of advancing the types of solutions that Americans really are looking for.
Well, and it's interesting, his opponents, too, it's put them in a box. I'm talking about Trump's opponents on the flip side, because they can't talk about anything else either.
This completely
and they've got
changes
and they're
the
supporting Trump.
dynamics of the primary, for sure.
Yeah.
At least temporarily. Remember, this election is a long way away. It is 18 months in politics.
That's like 20 years in politics, right? Both of you guys know.
As someone that's ran for office 5 times, I can attest to that.
But it is refreshing to see a party that has been fairly divided over the years come together and say, you know what, we can't allow the far left to hijack our legal system like this.
Yeah, Trump has galvanized the GOP. It's really interesting. This moment, and the Democrats have galvanized around Trump. It's a really interesting moment to see everybody
Politics
focus.
of distraction.
Yes.
That's what this is all about.
Thank you very much. We knew that you would be on it, Tom Basilian. You're going to have so much more on America Right Now, right after this show. You always have such an awesome show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thrilled